All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. I'm Timmy B, host of the Fight Insight podcast, and this is my co-host for the day. This is Dr. Demetrius Stavros. If you're friends with him, you can call him Dr. Jimmy like I do. Dr. Jim, good to have you back, my friend.
Thank you so much. It's been a while, but it's always a pleasure seeing you, Timmy.
It's been a long, long time, but if I didn't get you back in by the end of the year, I knew that you were going to kill me, so I had to have you back in. We are here to talk with a very special guest, and this is our first podcast coming to you from the great state of Canada, the United States 51st state. Very happy about that.
Yeah.
Dr. Jimmy, let's get this thing started.
Timmy, hit it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Fight Insight Podcast.
I have to change that to the American National Anthem soon, Dr. Jimmy. But today, our guest, she hails from Reading, Pennsylvania, now fighting out of Coconut Creek, Florida, with the great team over at ATT. She is a strawweight MMA fighter with a record of 6-4, currently riding a 3-fight win streak, all under the Combate Global banner. I've been watching this young fighter for a long time, and I've always wanted to have her on the show, but there is no better time than right now, because guess what, Dr. Jimmy? GFL starts putting out the posters. They start showing the fighters. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, what about Kayla Hracho? Where's Kayla Hracho? Boom, the poster comes out. So Dr. Jimmy, here she is. Guys, please welcome Kayla Kayrock Hracho.
What's up, guys? I'm happy to be here.
What's up, Kayla?
Kayrock is here. Kayla, I'm so happy that you are here on the podcast, but I'm very happy that you are signed to GFL.
Me too, man. I'm looking forward to an exciting year.
Me too. I'm excited for a very exciting podcast, Kayla, because nobody knows what GFL is. And so we're going to try and get to that. But before we do, Kayrock, let the fans know who you are for those that haven't seen you before.
Goodness, where to start? I mean, do you want me to talk a little bit about how I got into fighting?
Yeah, sure. Whatever's the most exciting, Kayla, because you got to grab the fans early with an exciting story.
All right. Well, I've been through it, so let's get into it. I started martial arts at the age of 23 years old. So quite rare. You know, a lot of people in this sport, they have grown up into it. I walked into a boxing gym at 23 years old. It changed my life. It taught me discipline and taught me perseverance and how to push through hard stuff. And it helped my confidence. And yeah, I became addicted to this sport of boxing, and I showed up every single day, you know, with the mission to do what I could do with it. And actually, after about 2 years of training as an amateur boxer, I sort of got recruited to come visit what is considered the best MMA gym in the world, American Top Team. And, you know, despite the fact that I had no experience, despite being at that point 25 years old, it felt like a no-brainer. Like I was given the opportunity of a lifetime to visit ATT. And so I took the little bit of money I had left and I came down to South Florida to visit. And the rest is kind of history, man. I've been in the gym every single day since. And that was crazy. 7 years ago now.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say, because as you're saying, like, oh, as a 23-year-old, I'm like, so you stepped into the gym yesterday? Because you look like you're like a very young, so you're 33 years old. Is that right then? My math is right?
Yes, I am.
So 33, though, you've amassed a good record so far. You're on a 3-fight win streak, so that's what's most important.
For sure.
You know, training with some of the killers at ATT. I saw the photos that you posted today. You were posting you and Kayla Harrison, who is a beast and who was a Fight Insight candidate nominee for Female Fighter of the Year, because what she did this year, absolutely incredible. She's a killer. I want to see Kayrock as the Female Fighter of the Year in 2025. You know what I'm saying?
I love it. Let's go for it.
Like, look, I want that award nominee to be you. Kayla, so here's the thing. You're fighting. I do want to say your last 3 fights with Combate Global. We just were talking about Combate a few weeks ago, maybe on the podcast, because there was some drama going on. Their TV deal is gone. They were saying they don't even know if they're going to be in business anymore. Do you know anything about that?
To be honest, I don't. I did also hear that they lost their TV deal, and I think that's why, you know, they were struggling to put on shows at the end of the year
Right.
I don't have really inside intel. I love Combate Global. I
Yeah.
love fighting for them. They really are an amazing organization. So I know that they plan to be up and running again early this year. So I hope that everything works out for them because they really do have great production and put on some great fights. So I wish them all the best. It was an
Yeah.
honor to fight for them and to grow my career with them for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I do like it. They're very stylized. Dr. Jimmy, do you
Mhm.
know Combate Global?
I do. In fact, actually, I've been doing a little bit of research on you, Kayla, and I watched your last 3 fights. I got to tell you, I think my favorite fight of yours so far that I've seen is your fight with Daniela Hernandez.
Okay.
What an incredible fight. So 4-0, she's going 4-0 into this fight. She's is either a Pan American Games
Yeah.
or Olympic Games wrestler, like
Mhm.
high level grappling, and
Mhm.
you took it to her. You nullified the wrestling. You used your stand up. You won a unanimous decision. That of the fights that I've seen, that's definitely my favorite fight that I've seen you, take out a high level competitor. You showed your skill and you nullified the wrestling, which I think was spectacular.
Thank you so much. I'm pretty proud of that fight, and she's a tough girl. I it's funny, like if you watch fights in the beginning of my career, like I had a run, I had some bad luck. I take full accountability, but like I had some crappy fights, some bad luck, and I started off my career on a really bad note. I started off my pro career at 1-2. And, since then, and it's been years, but I've been just clawing and clawing and clawing and working and working. And now that I have more experience, it's like all the opponents that they feed me are kind of these like undefeated prospects. And I think that people assume that I'm going to lose, but I guess it's just people don't understand that from when I was 1-2, and really since my very first day at American Top Team, I've worked. Like I never stopped working. And I think that in that fight against a girl like Daniela, who's a high level wrestler, like she wasn't able to take me down or keep me down. And I wasn't really surprised by that because like I'm training with black belts every single day in the gym and I've been doing that for years. So I always say like a fighter's record isn't always the best picture of their skill.
No.
And I do feel like I'm one of those kind of maybe not odd because I know that there's a ton of tough fighters out there, but I feel like I'm more skilled than a 6-4 record, and I'm looking forward to continuing to show that in my fights.
Yeah. Kayrock, you're saying all the right things. And look, there's one thing on the Fight Insight podcast I will always say, Jimmy, is that I never give as much props to a fighter who's undefeated as a fighter who has faced losses and rebounded. And again, 3-0 on the Combate Global stage, which is no small stage at all, right? That's a big promotion. So to go 3-0 there, fighting the prospects like Dr. Jimmy says, like Kayla, you're on the way up. Now here's the thing. GFL. Okay, well, I have so many questions, but are you still, okay, quick question. Are you still signed to Combate Global now? Like, do you still have fights under their banner?
I am not, no.
Oh, okay. So that's a little bit different because what I did hear is that even if you had fights, people were still signing with GFL, or that the contract that you signed with GFL now still allows you to fight in other organizations up until I think it's like May 1st or April 1st or something like that.
So what I know about GFL is, and a reason that I was so quick to sign the contract is, so I'm sure you've heard about this draft that's
Yeah.
happening at the end of January.
Yep.
So just because you sign to the organization does not necessarily mean you're going to fight. They signed, I think, 300 athletes, and I think only half of them are going to be fighting. Like they
Less than
have
half.
600,
120.
Yeah.
Okay, less than half. So they have 6 teams. I'm not sure how many weight classes, but I know that there's 2 fighters representing each weight class.
Yeah.
So essentially at the end of January is when we're going to find out who's been drafted. And the thing that I like about this GFL thing is if you don't get drafted, it's okay. You're allowed to go fight for other organizations. So
Right.
they're not holding these fighters. So So it's kind of like a win-win for me. Like if I get a
Yeah.
fight, if I get drafted, awesome. If not, like I'm going to stay busy elsewhere and look for other opportunities.
So I'm going to put a few things up on the screen, like just a few notes that I have. Like I've done so much research. Dr. Jimmy, he's a super nerd. Okay. So
I believe it.
any,
I'm just an enthusiast. That's all. I'm not a nerd. I'm an enthusiast. Okay, I'm a nerd. I fall into wiki holes. It happens.
Anytime we have something that's like super detailed or anything like that, I call up Dr. Jimmy because I know he will research the heck out of it. You know what I mean? And I feel safe. But I'm going to put a few notes up here about GFL. Here we go. So there's 6 teams, like you said. They're going to draft 120 of the 300 and plus fighters that they've signed on January 24th. There's going to be coaches for each of the 6 teams. They're kind of just for show unless you want them to actually be your coach. And Kayla will talk about that. They want to discourage weight cuts. So the weight classes are like 10 pounds higher. So I think even though you're a straw weight, Kayla, I think it's 120, I believe.
Oh.
Do you know that? No? Okay, we'll find out.
Not
There's
really.
no mention of a PED program. I don't know what's happening there. So I want to ask you, there's a retirement plan. I don't know if you know about that. And then you have the choice in your contract, guarantee pay or revenue share. So many things to start there. But let me go to the one thing about the coaches. So each team is going to be like legit like a team. Like I think there's going to be like jerseys and like it's going to be like the Florida whatevers, right?
I believe so, yeah.
That's okay. Hands up if you think that's cool. Yeah, I like this. Look, if you can make a good jersey, Kayla, like I will buy it. You know what I mean? Like if they make cool shit, I will buy it. Here's the problem, Kayla. I don't like when fighters only sell t-shirts with their faces on it. No offense, but like Dr. Jimmy and I can't convince our wives to walk around wearing a Kayla Hracho shirt with Kayla's face on it.
Sense.
Oh, it might happen. We'll see. Steph's pretty cool like that. We'll see what happens.
I'm not risking it with my wife. But
I'm sending you both one now.
I love free merch.
But if Kayrock is on the Florida Panthers, right? Okay, I know that's the hockey team, but whatever. But if she's on the Florida Panthers and it's got a cool design and it looks cool and I support Kayla, I'm going to buy that jersey. Like I feel like that's really good. That's cool. But here's the thing. There's coaches for the team. On some other interviews I was watching Ariel Helwani and I was watching some other shows and things like that, trying to read up. They're saying like, oh yeah, so Kayla, you get drafted to, let's say, whatever team, and it's being coached by Rafael Cordero out at, in Huntington Beach at King's MMA. Technically, he's your coach, but it's kind of just for show because Kayrock, you're not going to abandon ATT and go off and train at King's MMA, right?
No, I would not. No.
Yeah.
Do you think I actually know of, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this.
Wait, you know what? Just say what you know. Don't say it, but like what?
I know one of the coaches and they are local to me. So I assume if I get drafted that I will, I think that I'm going to be good. I think that I'm hoping if I get drafted that I'm on my coach's team.
Yeah, but you don't know that guy will draft you though.
He better.
No, but okay.
Better.
Well, okay, so here's something. So has GFL told you the coaches or you just found that out yourself?
No, GFL has not told me the coaches. He told me himself. He's actually the one who told me about the opportunity to begin with. I think this coach in particular, he thought about fighting in it. And then he realized that there was an opportunity to coach and he decided to take on that role. But I don't want to say
Dan Hardy, the outlaw, Dan Hardy.
It's not Dan Hardy.
No, son of a gun. All right.
I also think something that maybe I can say that I think people will be a little bit surprised with is that this is very much an international league.
Right. Well,
so don't think small. Don't think.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess Team Florida is an option, but yeah, very much international. I think that we're going to have international fights as well.
Kayla, Kayrock, Rocco fighting for the Vietnam Vipers.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. So, okay, but here, that's one thing I want to say. The coaches thing is one thing to me that's a little bit dumb because look, someone like Kayrock, who's been with her team for, a decade,
Mm-hmm.
obviously has huge ties there, huge bonds, isn't going to go switch over for this drafted team. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit funny. And then like, even when you fight, Kayla, so let me put up the schedule here so far. So on the screen, if you're only listening to this podcast on audio, we are putting pictures up that you can check it out. Check us out on Millions, YouTube, Spotify, wherever. So there's going to be 6 teams as shown there. So the 6 cities, you're going to fight in the season, and then the playoffs has the top 4 teams going down to the top 2, and then you become the champion. Now, the draft is January 24th. So, Kayla, here's something. If you don't know all the coaches, how are you supposed to sell yourself to make sure you get drafted? Because if you're one of the 300 fighters, you got to get your name on the radar of these other coaches. And yes, you know a coach, but what if he, you know what I mean? Like, what if he doesn't pick you?
Yeah, no, that's a good
son
question.
of a bitch. You come back on this podcast and you sell him out, and we will talk trash on him all day long.
That's definitely a fair question. I mean, I think that these coaches are going to have a hard job, right? Like, I think about just the amount of fighters at ATT that have signed to this promotion. And, if there is an ATT coach, like, he's going to have it's a tough situation. So yeah, that is tough.
And will each coach?
I wouldn't want to be a coach.
And here's the thing: if you're a coach, I don't think. Well, see, would you only pick people that are already at your gym, Jimmy, or would you pick fighters? So let's say you are Rafael Cordero. Now they've said his name, so I feel like he might be a coach. Okay, so if Rafael, and I met Rafael Cordero, he's really cool. So if Rafael Cordero is out in King's MMA out in Huntington Beach, and he knows that Kayla Kayrock Rocco is a fighter, and he goes, you know what? I always wanted to coach Kayrock. I think she would be cool for King's MMA. He might draft you in this season so that he can kind of sucker you into his team. You know what I mean?
That wouldn't work. No.
I know, but I'm just okay. But let's say not you, but let's say someone.
It's fair. It's definitely fair.
It's a way that coaches might be able to make some new friendships.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm assuming that these coaches are only going to be coaching technically at the fight. But yeah, I don't have a lot of information on how that's going to work.
Okay. But I think, so, a tip here from your favorite podcast, try to find out the coaches so you can start marketing to them now.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
And go, you know what I mean? Send them this podcast, send them the clip where Jimmy talks how good the fights were with you, right? And go, hey, look what this guy said.
Absolutely. Like, just send them DMs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Here's the next thing. The contract that you signed.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're allowed to fight now up until whenever, even though you have this contract now. So if Invicta calls you tomorrow and says, hey, we've got a card next week, can you fight? Technically you could.
Yes. I think until January, I think.
Oh, I had heard it was like March 1st or something. Whatever.
Oh,
anyways.
maybe. That sounds right.
whatever it is. So here's the thing though. If you get signed, what did I want to ask here? So when you sign the contract now, Anthony Pettis said that his contract stipulated pay or revenue share. Does yours say that?
I don't believe it did.
Whoa.
I think
what
that
do you mean?
I think that I was offered a flat rate. I mean, I only looked at it once, so to be honest, like
Dr. Jim, get your law degree and help her out here. Hold on.
I literally saw the number that they were offering me, and I was like, I'm in. So
okay, nice. So you're okay, but you're happy with that number? If
yes,
okay.
Yeah.
I had heard that. Okay, so what they had revealed previously was that, Dr. Jimmy, did you hear this? Is that you have a flat pay. But you're entitled to 50% revenue share. And if that 50% revenue share is higher than your flat pay, you'll get the higher of the two.
Higher.
So that's cool.
I thought that the revenue share was available to all fighters.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if it was like one or the other.
No. So Dr. Jimmy, with your research, did you find out anything about the revenue share?
Just that it's 50-50 revenue share. Nothing specific that I saw that was if this, then that sort of scenario, right? It could be one or the other, I suppose. But just from what I was looking at here and the information that I was reading, it says 50% revenue share, which is pretty spectacular when you consider like this is, this thing can take off and do really, really well. And that's great for the athletes because this is an opportunity for you guys to actually, not just fight and earn for your fight, but you can really build the brand as well as your brand. And then as the fights continue to, the fans continue to watch, the revenue goes up, you continue to benefit from that revenue share. I think that's a great concept.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole point of this with the revenue share, Kayla, is that you've got 22.5 thousand followers on Instagram alone. If you can bring those people into the fold and go like, hey, you got to watch GFL, and that brings that revenue up, cha-ching to you.
Absolutely. I'm here for it.
And get those Kayrock jerseys sold. I'm in on it. I'm in.
Yeah. Okay, so revenue share, we'll see about that. Now, do you know anything about the retirement plan? You're getting up there in age, Kayla. You got to retire in a couple years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're just going to smooth sailing with your millions of dollars of retirement.
I will take it. I got student loans. I got debt.
Okay, so do you know anything about the retirement plan?
I don't honestly know.
Did you know that there was a retirement plan?
I did, yes.
Okay. Has anybody explained anything?
No.
Okay. Did you know?
I knew you were going to try to get information out of me. I was like, maybe I should be doing some research myself.
No. Okay, here's the thing.
I'm a fighter. I just train. I show up.
Yeah, beat people up, move on your day.
Exactly.
No, but here's the thing. Here's a different question. Did you know that there's an MMA pension in California?
No.
See, Kayrock, this is your fault for not listening to the Fight Insight podcast. Okay.
I'm so sorry.
We had the assembly member in California, San Francisco, who wrote the bill. There is now an MMA pension in California. If you fight, you can be anywhere around the world and qualify for this pension as long as you have, I forget now, 10 or 15 fights in the state of California.
Oh, okay.
Every fight you have counts towards your pension, and then when you're of retirement age, like not fight retirement, but like actual 65 or whatever, you get a pension.
That's amazing.
And that's legit in place right now.
That is amazing.
Yeah, that guy.
Is that recent? Did that happen?
It happened this year.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had the assembly member on right away. He's a very cool dude. Of course, because I'm speaking about it now with passion, I can't remember his name. Matt Haney, assembly member. Nice. Matt Haney. Yeah, really cool dude. Yeah. So, I mean, that's for you too, though, right? So if these GFL fights, if any of them are in California, make sure you sign up for the California fights because you can double up on your pension, right? Like if GFL gives you a retirement fund, they said, Dr. Jim, I found out that they're contributing 8% of your pay. They put into a retirement fund. Dr. Jimmy, any more information on that?
No, but I do believe that, like you noted, that it's a retirement fund. I wonder, I'm curious if it's going to be like a pension, like a dynamic, like a pension fund setup, if they're going to be investing in, in the market or whatever the case is, like a pension fund in order to grow the value of that. So I think it's a brilliant idea for you guys, especially, given the fact that at any moment with athletes, you never know what can happen. Their careers might be cut short, unfortunately, but to have that option available to you, I think is fantastic. That's, and especially in other leagues, you're hired as a contractor, you're an independent contractor. So you're responsible for all of that yourself. This is the dynamic that they have here is that you're taken on as an employee, as someone who's going to have access to the retirement benefits, as well as a slew of other things, which I'll let Timmy get to. But I think it's a great setup that they have.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty sweet, Kayla.
Absolutely. I think they're changing the game, right? And it's almost like they're listening to everyone's complaints and doing something about it. So it's refreshing. And I think the sport really needs it right now. Not only a promotion that's going to take care of them and that has concern about their future, but like fighters need opportunity right now. Bad. I think that with the merger of PFL and Bellator, like it benefited a lot of fighters, but even more so, like it left a lot of fighters kind of hanging out to dry. And we're talking about talented people with good records and exciting, exciting fights. So I think that the game needs it right now. So it's refreshing, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what happens with it.
I like the idea of it. I like the team aspect of it. I
Mhm.
like obviously, yes, MMA is an individual sport, but as you know, coming from ATT, right, it's so much of a team thing, right? When you care, like Dr. Jimmy
Yeah.
and I both train as well, so you care so much about your training partners, but when they
Mhm.
go and fight, you're right in there with them, right? Like emotionally and physically in there with them through the training. So I mean, you're so vested in it. Why not have a team thing? Like
Mhm.
I think the idea is there. Now, here's the thing, Kayla. I did a poll on our Instagram. Ariel Helwani and a lot of people have been real jerks about it. Like they keep
Mhm.
putting it down, saying this is not going to work, blah blah blah, right? Like really, like kind of poo-pooing it. And I don't like that because the thing is like, look, like you said with Bellator and PFL, like they've blown that thing's dying out. Like, you know what I mean? And we
Yeah.
need places where fighters can fight. Combate
Yeah.
Global losing their television deal, potentially not being able to put on fights. We need places where fighters can fight, where they can earn, where they can make a living, where they can compete, right?
Yeah.
I put a poll out because like a lot of people very negative. Every GFL post, by the way, too, gets a lot of hate, which I'm like, what's wrong with people? Like either just shut up or be nice. Like why you
Right.
gotta hate on this thing that you haven't even seen it yet? Like
That's
freaking
how I
hell.
feel. Like it hasn't even happened yet. Like maybe it comes out and you freaking love it. Like how can you judge something that hasn't even started? Yeah. I'm sorry. Go
That
ahead.
no, Kayla, you're the guest. Yeah, no,
No, I'm
exactly. That's what I
surprised to
feel.
hear that though. I'm surprised. I mean, I don't really read too much into comments, but
Oh, okay. Don't.
I wonder if it's coming from fans rather than, people who are in the sport.
No, it's coming from these stupid fans with no
Right.
profile pictures and like,
Yeah, right.
like one follower. No.
Because
Uh
like fighters just want to get paid. They want to be cared for and respected. And dude, we
yeah,
work hard. We sacrifice everything to do this.
right.
Um and more often than not, like we're doing it to put a good show on for the fans. So like,
Yeah.
yeah, it would be good to see fans kind of recognize that and support new things that are trying to become of this sport.
All the time, Kayla. Like that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, I like, these idiots when they like complain about things or like when people complain about fighter pay, one of the things that I always comment is I'm like, show me the last receipt of the UFC pay-per-view you bought. Show
Yeah.
me something you bought of someone. Like, do you have a goddamn pop of Ronda Rousey? Do you
Right.
have, you know what I mean? Do you have UFC cards or like, like when fighters, like here's one, Isaac Bulgarian, former fighter on the pod or former UFC. I bought his card, man. Like you got to support these people.
I love that. Good
You
for
know
you.
what I mean? Do these
Yeah.
things. Okay, so I asked the fans, like, what do you think of GFL? 33% said excited. I love the idea. 34% said I'm cautiously optimistic. That's still positive in my books. 11% said hate it. Screw those people. And then 22. Here's the thing: 22% of them said never heard of it. So that's cool. Maybe you don't know yet. Maybe it hasn't come on your radar, but it's coming now. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Kayla, Kayrock, Rocco. I don't think there's a title belt though for you to win.
Oh,
They haven't said that, Dr. Jimmy.
that's a
They
good
never
point.
said. It's like you're part of the team and you're winning the Stanley Cup.
Right. I'm all right
But I
with
don't.
that.
Yeah,
So there's no like individual champs. It's just like one team champ.
doesn't sound like it.
Yeah,
Like
I
it would be.
actually
It would
haven't
be.
thought about that.
It would be weird. And so here, I'll put on the screen. This is how the points go. Have you seen this, Kayla?
I
How
have,
the points work?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you get 4 points if you finish your win, 3 points if you get a decision win, 2 points if it's a draw for each fighter, 1 point if it's a decision loss, and then 0 points if you get finished in a loss. That's all the ways you can earn points
I love it.
through the season, right? Your team is all competing, you're winning your points, you're making it to the semis and then making it to the finals and hopefully the championship. So my question to you, K-Rock, you go out there, you kick ass, 6-0, 7-0, whatever it is in the season, you beat all these girls' asses. At the end of it, you're sharing the cup.
Mm-hmm.
You're okay with that you don't have a title belt for you. You're okay that you share the cup
Absolutely. Yes.
or the ring
absolutely.
or whatever you get.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, I fight to fight. Like, yeah, do I want to be a world champion? Is that a goal? Yes. But
Right.
like ultimately I want to test myself against great competition. I want to fight. I want to win. I want to improve. I just want opportunity to show my skills and to continue developing them. So yeah, I have no problem with that. And I don't know if it's like I grew up playing a lot of team sports. Um, Even being a part of a huge team like ATT, like I very much do feel like I'm part of a team. So yeah, that doesn't bother me. No.
Okay. All right. Nice. Dr. Jimmy, any specific questions? You said there was lots of stuff that you were hoping I would get to. Is there anything you definitely want to ask Kayrock?
Well, from the healthcare perspective, I think what they're doing is great because it's part of the package includes insurance coverage. Some of the other organizations will only provide you rehabilitation for injuries that you sustain from matches. Whether it's training for a match or you get injured in a match, they'll take care of the costs. But any personal injuries that you sustain, they're not covering any of that. So you're going to get insurance coverage for your personal care as well as your fight injuries, which I think is great because at any moment, any of us can be out there playing basketball with a kid or a friend or whatever, and then all of a sudden you twist your ankle and you're going to be laid up for a couple of weeks, and it affects your ability to train. But then that comes out of your pocket if you're one of the other organizations that doesn't cover you with an insurance policy.
Right.
But with GFL, it sounds like they're giving you guys benefits in addition to the injuries that you sustain while training and fighting so that you can take care of yourself as you need them. I think that's a fantastic idea. I also really like their weight division breakdown. So they have 10 weight divisions. They have 3 divisions for the women, and it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, well, 7, I guess, divisions for 7 divisions for the men. But the way that they've also broken them down is the weight categories are different than what we've seen in some of the other categories.
Yeah.
But they've set it up in a way so that athletes aren't punishing themselves by cutting weight. And that can be really draining on you physically, mentally. It can affect your ability to perform for the next match. Yes, Timmy?
I have a question, Dr. Jimmy.
Yes, sir.
I get that the weight classes are a little bit higher, right? So wait, Kayla, do you know what you're competing at? Is it 120 or 125? Do you know?
So I've actually heard a few different things. On the post that they posted, it says straw weight, but I actually did hear that there's a 110 weight class.
No.
No, you didn't hear that?
Think so. Wait, you want a 110 weight class?
I heard that there was a 110. I mean, my last 4 fights have been at 105. I just recently decided to go up in weight.
Would it be shocking to let you know that you've been signed up for the 175-pound category?
I'm like, I got this.
Start bulking now, Kayrock.
No, I
Put some ankle weights on. You'll be good.
I'm definitely open. Like I had a coach tell me once, like, weight doesn't matter as much as people make it out to be. Like, the problem is your skills aren't good enough. So he was very much a realist, and it's kind of like, it's not the weight. Like, you're doing the wrong thing at the wrong time. Like, you need to use the right skills, or you need to do the skills properly. Like, then weight won't matter. And he has a point.
Sure.
I mean, so like, I fought in a tournament in South Africa at 132 pounds, and I was an amateur. I was fighting pros at 132 pounds. So, like, yeah, that doesn't scare me. It doesn't scare me.
Yeah. Okay.
That kind of reminds me of Frankie Edgar. I think when he was fighting at lightweight, he never cut really. Like, you could see the difference in his build, and that guy was a beast, right? Because he also didn't punish his body, right? He was able to go out there and compete. And I think that's what they're trying to do here is to make there's a broader range, I think, in the weight categories in order for the athletes to be able to compete without punishing themselves physically to get to that weight.
But here's my thing though. Fighters won't the fighters just bulk up beyond what they normally would and still cut like crazy to make whatever weight class they're in? Like, you know what I mean?
I know what you're saying, yeah.
Unless they do something like 1FC where they go, there's the hydration test.
That's what I was going to say.
Which is terrible because no one ever makes weight at 1FC, by the way. So, I know they've said that, and they said, we're eliminating weight cutting by changing the thing. But like, Kayla's just going to bulk up to 130 to then cut down to 120. You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna just put on massive, like, super mass.
I'm already doing it.
I know. We can see it.
I'm already doing it. Already bulking.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. So I don't get that too much. So that's one thing that I'm a little bit cautiously optimistic of when they say that,
Yeah.
because I'm like, people are still going to try and take advantage. We're like,
Right.
we had a fighter from Fight League Atlantic, a nutritionist, who came on and said, like, hey, fighters are fighters. Where there's a way to gain an advantage, they will gain an advantage, right? Like, so I don't know if that's thing. Here's my other thing. There are a whole bunch of fighters obviously signed up for this, right? Like big names, but perhaps older fighters, right? Junior Dos Santos, Andre Arlovsky, Alexander Gustafsson, the Axe Murderer, right?
Yeah, a lot of vets.
Okay, so Kayla, here's my conspiracy theory. Okay, this was my conspiracy theory on the show last week. I think a lot of these guys are only signed on for this part now to bring awareness to it, but I don't think they're going to be drafted.
That's actually a good conspiracy.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I don't know if you're right. What I do think is, like, some people are saying they never heard of GFL, but in my opinion, they've gotten a lot of noise for how new everything is, right? Like,
Yeah.
for the first time, I heard about them maybe 2 months ago. And like now is seeing their following and seeing the fighters that they've signed. And I mean, I really feel like they're starting to make noise and get the ball rolling. So whatever they're doing, I think it's working.
23,000 followers on Instagram. Okay.
Not
with
bad.
with only 86 posts, which I feel like that's not right. They really don't have that many posts. How cool is it that you're one of the only posts that they've done, though? Right?
I know. I do. Yeah. They haven't posted that many women, I've noticed.
Not that many women. The only other straw weights I can see is B Win, who's out on the West Coast.
See, I think about people like B, and it kind of what I like about this this promotion and this new thing is, like, people tend to write off fighters who don't have great records, like B. Like, you know, I think she's 6-9, but like when you look at the fighters that she's competed against, like, she was fighting some of the best atom weights in the world in one championship. And so I kind of like that organizations like this are giving fighters like B and I opportunities to fight and to make good money, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, of course. That's crazy that you know B's record off by heart. Is that because, like, she's like your number one target? You're like, get me B.
No, it's not that. I follow B.
She's very cool.
Man, like I've seen plenty of her fights. I think that because every now and then I will look at the comments, and I think that's a post that I did look at, and a lot of people were hating on her, and it kind of stuck in my brain.
Sons
like,
of bitches.
Because people only see the record, right? So I'm actually showing her respect. Like, I think that, like, 6-9 doesn't sound like a good record, but if you ever watch her fight, like, she's a dangerous girl. Like, she's very, very highly skilled and a tough fighter. So
yeah, no, she's really good. And I'm looking at the post. You're right. Yeah, it's a lot of negatives. Here's one from a Dr. Jimmy. Who's this loser? Is that?
Am I even on Instagram? I don't even know.
No, she's really cool, man. I do want her on the podcast. So B, if you're seeing this, hurry up and get on this podcast. I've talked to her many times. I think it's really cool, Kayla. Look, I've kept you too long now, so I apologize. Is there anything that you want to say to the fans, viewers, and listeners? They're getting to know Kayla, Kayrock, Hracho for the first time. They're seeing you on the GFL post. What would you want to say to people? Something inspiring, anything you want.
I mean, honestly, what I want to tell you guys is, for one, I actually have a fight scheduled in about 2.5, 3 weeks. I guess you didn't do your research, man.
Are you serious? Dr. Jimmy, did you know this?
Yeah, 2.5, 3 weeks, right? Yeah.
So I am making my professional boxing debut.
Yes!
Oh,
that's
January
awesome.
17th in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And, I've gotten a lot of questions as to, why are you doing this? Like, why are you going back to boxing? And so I kind of just wanted to clear it up and say, like, well, first of all, I started in boxing. It's kind of my first love. But this past year, I don't really ever get out of training camp. Like, I sacrifice pretty much everything in my life to continue pursuing this dream. And it's a lot harder than people think, I think, like all the sacrifice involved. So this entire past year, I was basically in camp and I was not able to fight. And a lot of it was out of my control. So, like, that means I'm not earning money from fighting. That means that I'm getting older and not younger. That means that, like, I'm losing my momentum of my 3-fight win streak. So, I kind of was like hoping to fight MMA in December and nothing stuck. And so I got a boxing fight.
Nice.
I
I
guess
knew
I just
about
want
it.
people to know. I really just want people to know that like I'm going for it this year. Like I'm saying yes to all the opportunities. I'm putting myself out there instead of sitting back and being worried about taking the right opportunities and kind of being careful. I'm doing the opposite. I'm going balls to the wall. I'm putting it all on the line. And so that starts for me, yeah, beginning of the year in a few weeks, my pro boxing debut, and then hopefully a whole season of GFL.
That is awesome. Kayla,
Awesome.
and I apologize. I did know that. It is at King's Ring Wars Promotions. It's on DAZN, aired live on
Yes.
DAZN, January 17th at 7 p.m. Kayla Rocco is going to be there. I apologize. I was focused on the MMA.
That's okay.
I forgot that
Don't
you're doing the boxing.
apologize.
Damn it. Called me out on that. But here's the thing. I do want to ask you one last question, though. Actually, two questions, though. First question. Has GFL paid you at all already?
No.
Okay. To go along with my conspiracy theory, both Anthony Pettis and Motown phenom Kevin Lee both said checks have cleared. And I'm
Oh.
like, why would they be paying you
Well, maybe. Yeah.
unless it's just to go on this promotional tour or to use your name as a promotional tour to kind of get this thing launched? Who cares, Kayla? I don't give a crap whether they've used a few people to sell this thing, because I want you to get drafted. I want you to get guaranteed fights, and I want you to take home the goddamn trophy. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Hey, I will
So-
say, like, GFL, they're, you know, I'm kind of, I don't want to say lower level, but like on the experience, you know, I'm not really a vet, but they're offering a good amount of money. I'll tell you that much.
I'm happy for you.
Yeah, I'm very happy with the contract, and I hope I get selected because I'm ready for a big year.
And don't forget, who cares what the contract says, because you're getting 50% revenue share. It's going to be
Absolutely.
higher than that number, and you're going to take home even more.
I believe it.
So kick ass. All right, Kayla, Kayrock, Rocco, I got one last question to ask you, if you don't mind. It's a question that I ask all the guests on the podcast. You are my final guest of 2024, 52 episodes. You're my, well, probably you're like my 60th guest or something, because a lot of episodes we have two guests. So Kayla, Kayrock, Rocco, it's a question that my mom used to ask me almost every day of my life growing up. I want to ask it to you. Kayrock, on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you?
Oh, gosh. I think 10. Can I say 10?
You can
I'm
say whatever you want.
alive. I'm alive. I'm breathing. I'm healthy. I've got food. I've got a dream. Yeah, man, I'm a 10. You know, even when things are tough, I try to stay positive and not stay in that, you know, just gratitude. Gratitude is a superpower.
That's
So I'm
awesome.
gonna say 10.
Good for you. Good for you. Kick ass into the new year, K-Rock. And I do want to say one small thing here. On the podcast, I had said some jokes that were maybe not so nice that I know your friend, Kayla Harrison, did not like. And so I apologize to that. And if she finds out you did this podcast...
On this podcast?
No, not today. Like
Oh.
earlier in the year, I
I'm
had
actually
said...
at her house right now, so
Oh
she
my
might
God.
be listening on the
Okay.
cameras. I'm literally
Are you
at
serious?
her house.
Are you really?
It's been all planned, Timmy. It's been
Oh my
planned.
God. Oh my God.
He's nervous.
Look, I had said, look, it was jokes, and I apologize, and I should, you know, I don't want her to be mad, but if she sees that you're on the Fight Insight podcast and for some reason she remembers and goes, screw that guy, just let her know I said I'm sorry, and you know, but she's a good person, and I'm happy for her success. So
Listen, I will say, like, Kayla's one of my very, very best friends. And I think that she can be misunderstood sometimes. Like, you know, on the outside, she's this very strong kind of alpha, very outspoken, obviously very tough and competitive, but she is one of like the most peaceful, beautiful souls I've ever met in my life. I mean, this girl literally just likes to work on her farm and feed her chickens and take care of her kids. And yeah, she truly is a special person. So
that's
put
awesome.
that on the record.
Put it on. Tell her
Put
that
it on
Timmy
the
B.
record.
Tell her that Timmy B from the Fight Insight podcast said hello and wishes her a happy new year as well. Kayla, Kayrock, Hracho, I really hope that you'll come back on the podcast after you get drafted, after we see your jersey, after we get once we start to get some more stuff. I'd love to talk to you again.
Absolutely, I would love to be back.
All right, thank you, Kayla. Have a wonderful day,
guys. Bye.
Happy New Year.
You too.
Bye. All right, Dr. Jimmy.
Timmy B.
We kept her very long, but I'm glad that she did not bail out on us because I really enjoyed that conversation.
It was a great interview. Yeah, she had a lot of great things to talk about. I think I'm excited for her future. I'm really excited to see how this thing plays out.
Yeah, and I do think, the GFL, look, let's talk about it. We'll talk about it a little bit more because we have a little bit of time left.
Yeah.
I like it. I like the idea. I feel like I could root for a team in MMA. I feel like I could root for a team. Mm-hmm. I feel like if the jerseys look cool, I'm a sucker for that. I'm telling you, Dr. Jim, if they make cool merch.
Yep.
And here's the thing. When we had Mike Malott on, Canadian superstar, Mike Malott, I had said to him, you need to create like a hockey jersey because you're a Canadian. You need to create like a hockey jersey for like Mike Malott. And I think he said he was doing something with the Nelk boys or whatever. And those things are so stupid to me, so I don't care. But I thought like, hey, you need to like jersey it up. It would be cool. Like if we would walk into the Air Canada Center or whatever it's called now. And, and then all be wearing like a Mike Malott jersey. Like that'd be cool, man. Like,
Yeah. I agree. Well, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if something like that happens. So the founder of this, the commissioner founder of Global Fight League is Darren Owen, who's a Canadian. And so who knows, maybe that some of that Canadian is going to rub off on GFL and we're going to have GFL hockey style jerseys or something equivalent.
It's got to be something. Mm-hmm. Like it's got to be something because you want to sell it and you want it to make waves in the public. Like you want Timmy B to be wearing this when he goes out to the mall.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Because you want people to see it and go, "What the hell is that jersey?"
Exactly. Create some buzz, get some people talking, get the You're wearing the marketing, you're wearing the brand, right? So
that's what I'm saying. Now, if you like Kayla, if you like Kayrock, go check her out at Kayrock MMA, Kay Rock ROCK MMA on Instagram. Go follow her, man. Go start this trend now. Help her get drafted. I don't know how these coaches are going to draft people if they don't necessarily know who everyone is. So at least we can do is give her a huge following.
I agree.
Follow her, bump up her numbers, right? So that people go like, oh, if I draft her, she's going to bring more eyes to our team. That's what you need. So like get this girl these eyes. You know what I'm saying? Okay, Dr. Jimmy, is there anything that we didn't talk about? Okay, now that Kayla's gone, though, I will say the retirement plan. I don't know about that because here's the thing: in California, they partnered up with the Nevada State Athletic Commission, who also does the pension for boxers. Okay, and so they know about it. They kind of had a lot of investment. They figured it all out. The pay for the pension comes from every seat that is sold in California for a professional fight. $1 goes towards the pension.
Okay.
And that's for all organizations that run sanctioned bouts in the state of California. So they're continually generating money.
Does that take into account any pay-per-view purchases or anything? Or is it just seats at like
just seat sales? Yeah. Seat sales. I think that's what was explained to me. It was a while ago. It was early in the year that we had that podcast, but it's a great one. I'll put it up at the end of this one so that people can see it. I don't know how they're going to generate enough funds to create a realistic retirement fund or anything for someone based on just like 5 fights.
Maybe the architecture for it is there. Maybe like the incentive behind it is to create that retirement benefit plan, but based on the way that this progresses. But because you're right, it can't just appear out of nowhere. It can't materialize from nothing. Right. There has to be revenue generated in order for that to happen. So it's probably a stipulation of the contract based on revenue generation after so many years, or so many years in the league, or after so many fights, you qualify.
But this is what I mean, right? But this is, but I don't think so, because it says right away, fighters get retirement, right? Okay. And it's like there's no caveat there. There's nothing now. Nobody knows, but what I'm saying is, in California, they said you had to compete, and I should have watched the podcast before I did this, but I think it was 15 times or 10 times. You had to, you had to have X number of fights, and you could only claim it at whatever age, right? So it gave a lot of time. Yeah, for you to have to accrue that, plus that fund would have had time to grow over time, right? It would like interest and blah blah blah. So, okay, there's that. The coaches thing, we went through that, which I was like, okay, well that's kind of dumb, because Kayla's not going to leave ATT.
Yeah, no, that is an interesting one. You bring up a really good point with that, because you're right. If you're a fighter and you've already committed to your team and you're part of the crew, and you love your coaches, it actually brings up another question. So, okay, you have a coach, right? Like you said, we don't exactly know what the dynamic of that is going to be. You're one of two members of the particular weight division. Who's cornering you? Is it the coach, or is it going to be your actual your trainers, your coaches from wherever that you're training out of? Like, is it going to be
the guy that you're talking about that started this, Darren?
Yeah, Darren. Yeah,
Darren Elkins. No,
Darren Owens.
Darren Owens.
Yeah.
Owens.
Owen, just the N.
Owen. Darren Owen. I did friend him on LinkedIn.
So. I may have seen that, Tim.
Oh, you saw that? Really?
Yeah, because I looked him up too, right?
Oh, and you saw that I was his friend?
It comes up because you're on my LinkedIn, right? It says.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah. So I'm trying to hit him up because I want him to come on this I want him to come on this podcast as well, right?
That'd be awesome
for this dude. What was I going to say? He said on an interview, I saw him say on the Ariel Helwani one that his immediate reaction to that question was, "Oh, you can have either coach.
Okay,
you don't have to have your team coach, especially when I think the team coaches are going to be Vanderlei Silva, Alexander Gustafsson, blah blah blah. I don't think those guys are fighting.
Yeah.
And I think that they are signed to be coaches.
Yeah. I saw even like Lyoto Machida I saw is in that list.
Lyoto Machida. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Right? So I don't know. We don't know, but there's that. Okay, let me put some other things here on the screen here. Here's some notes. 50-50 revenue share. We talked about that. Insurance coverage. We talked about that. Global exposure. We talked about that. Athlete-centric model. Okay, retirement benefits, we covered that. Comprehensive support, we talked about that. Okay, so we've talked about all the main athlete benefits that they've been posting. We talked about the scores. I like this. Dr. Jim, I like this. I like the points aspect. Yeah. Because here's the thing. If you lose by decision, you still get a point.
I was just going to say that exact thing. You're rewarded for the effort, and you took it all the way to the third or the fifth round, and you're not leaving with nothing. You're still bringing your team a point. Yeah. I think that's great. You're getting something for the effort.
And I think when you think about a team, I think, because if you lose and you got 0 points, right? So let's say you go to decision, you lose, and let's say you got 0 points for that. Your team would be like, nah, fucking idiot, lost, blah, 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 nothing. But now you survive till the end. You gut it out. You get that decision loss. You still bring home a point to your team. Your team is still going to be like, fuck yeah, good job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I agree. You're rewarded for the effort you make to the end. You get rewarded for that. I agree.
Yeah. And then what were some, okay. And then we saw the brackets thing. And then here's my points again. Did we cover everything here? The retirement plan, no mention. Okay. No mention of the PED program.
Yes, that's right.
Look, juice the fuck up. Like, just
and then don't cut. Just juice up and then don't cut.
Take roids like crazy, just oozing green when you get to that case. No, I don't know. Obviously, they must have something.
Yeah. I'm sure that they do, because if they're going to be licensed anywhere, they must have some sort of comprehensive screening program, whether it's USADA or whatever it is.
All right, fine. Yeah. So don't do that. Don't, athletes around the world, don't take my advice. They want to discourage weight cuts, but the weight cuts are 10 pounds. We talked about that. The coaches just for show. We talked about that. The 6 teams drafting. We talked about that. Look, I'm excited to watch this draft. There was one thing. They don't know where they're going to be airing yet. That's really concerning to me.
Yes.
If you don't know, Like if you don't have a TV deal lined up, if you don't have an app deal lined up, like you don't know whether you're going to be on DAZN or Fight. I'm assuming not Fight Pass, but Amazon Prime, Netflix. Look, figure this out quick, Darren. Right? Like I'm very nervous that he hasn't figured it out. They did say that if they don't have a deal, they will be going to their own platform, like their own website or whatever.
Yep. Yeah.
Like BKFC. Look, the BKFC app was cool, man. I subscribed to it forever. You know, I only stopped now because I'm broke as hell. That said, go buy my t-shirt at millions.co.
That's it. Love it.
Go buy that t-shirt so I can afford BKFC again. If they run their own app, I'd be a little bit nervous of that.
Yeah.
I think if you're going to run your own app, you might as well go on YouTube.
Well, their COO Arun Parimi, this is his area of expertise. This is what he does. He's the tech guy. He's the IT guy. You know, he's founder of Big B AI. I think that this is, like you said, if they don't get a television deal, a broadcasting deal, you know, this is the gentleman. Most likely, that's the person that's going to be making whatever platform they're going to create. They're going to bring it to the public through that.
No, do not do that. Don't create your own app. The amount of money you're going to waste into those resources and all that to then try to garner people to do it. Just go on YouTube. Why wouldn't you just go on YouTube? I mean, Invicta did that. Invicta did that forever. ONE FC does that for their Friday night fights.
Yeah, I think they do Amazon as well, right? So I think it's on Amazon. But either way, yeah, you're right. Like an established platform that's there. Yeah, I'm pretty sure ONE FC is. Yeah.
No. ONE FC does their Prime shows that stink because stupid Amazon Prime doesn't work, it's kind of crap. But yes, they're on there. Look, Netflix, right? You can go on Netflix now. Like NFL was on Netflix on Christmas Day. And it looked pretty good, man. I clicked on it. It streamed fine. It didn't have the glitches like Jake Paul and Tyson. So they figured their stuff out. I don't think you make your own app. I don't like that. Too hard to get people to buy into that. You know, trying to get people to click on one goddamn button is too hard. Just give it to them easy, YouTube or whatever TV deal you can find, you know? What else do we need to say? Anything else? So do you agree? Do you think that Gustafsson and all them are going to be fighting?
I don't know. I agree with you. I think they're most likely like they're name brand fighters, right? Like these are guys that people recognize. These are names that people know from, like, you know, the Pride days of where Vanderlei Silva was out there, you know, annihilating people, or Gustafsson's, you know, legendary fights. You know, the one in particular with John Jones. They're brand name fighters to bring attention. Like, you look at the list here and they're like, okay, you recognize so many of these names as being top level fighters. And I agree with you. I think that it's most likely that these guys are going to, you know, be part of the promotion in some way as being coaches. Although I wouldn't be surprised if some of the guys, you know, like Arlovsky, for example, that guy will fight forever. He fights at every opportunity it seems that he gets. So I wouldn't be surprised if he puts his name out there as a competitor. And if I remember correctly, I think the one coach that I think maybe Kayla was talking about is Mike Brown, I believe, is one of their striking coaches at American.
Oh, yes, right.
And I wouldn't be surprised if he was one of the guys that was, you know, that she was referring to maybe entering or whatever.
That guy hasn't fought in a long time.
Has it been a while? Okay, maybe I'm wrong.
Wait, maybe I'm thinking of a different guy. Hold on. Let me look that up quickly. Where's my producer? Look this up. Hold on. Again, I could afford a producer if you buy the Fight Insight podcast t-shirt at millions.co. Very good quality, Dr. Jimmy. Way better than the one I gave to you.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it is. They're very good quality. Now, Mike Brown. Hold on.
I believe it's Mike Brown. American top team, like, you know, Coconut Creek.
He hasn't fought since 2013, you goof.
All right, never mind then. Forget it.
No, not him. But, okay, look, overall, I want to say that the Fight Insight podcast is very supportive of the GFL. I think this is a good thing. I think the idea is cool. I think anytime there's like a team element, I do think it brings something different. I do think, like, if you can market it well, even if you don't have all those fighters fighting on the roster. Here's the thing. Am I watching PFL? No. Will I watch PFL when my friend Jenna Bishop is on there? Yes. When when Impa Kasanganai is there because he's been on this podcast? Yes. But am I watching the product overall? No. I don't like the format. I'm not interested in it. It doesn't generate anything for me. You've got 300 fighters. You've only shown 80 of them, which presumably are your probably most famous 80. Those other 220 fighters might be people that we don't really know. Mm-hmm. You got to give them a cool ass jersey. You got to make this team thing work. You got to make the points cool. You got to make the whole thing cool. Look, the first time you go to the arenas, you're giving those jerseys out for free.
Yep.
So that the goddamn fans can be wearing those jerseys and make it look like everyone has bought into the product right away. That's the investment you got to make, GFL.
I agree. You know,
send Timmy B and Dr. Jimmy a couple jerseys because we just gave you that idea.
100%.
Yeah. What else do you want to say, Dr. Jimmy? Anything else about GFL?
I was just going to say, you mentioned the 120 athletes. I wouldn't be surprised, and this would just kind of make sense, if they had a roster of athletes to, as fill-ins potentially if there's an injury, for example, right? Like, you only got 2 athletes per division. They got to have people to, like, as if someone is injured in training and they still need to, because it's a team element, right? I'm assuming they probably have someone who's going to be there to fill in, if an athlete of theirs gets injured, so that they can still compete in that.
But that's why you have the 2.
Would they not both be fighting?
No, I think it's going to be. I think a card is going to be 10 fights.
Gotcha.
And you're gonna take one of your 2.
I see.
So by that logic, I guess you could draft Gustafsson and just never have him fight. Just bench him every time, and have Dr. Demetrius Stavros fight in his place. You know what I mean?
No, I'll just fix them afterward. Just bring them to me.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, that's the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We did a great job. We went regular time that we always do, about an hour long. Covered everything. Dr. Jimmy, this is the last podcast of the year.
Very happy to be a part of it. I missed out on the awards of the year. Unfortunately, schedules didn't work out.
Yeah, and I apologize, but look, I'm glad that you're here. I do want to say I didn't do like a mushy thing at the end of the last one because it was kind of weird. Like, it was the end of year show, but I knew I still had this show coming. I do want to say, Dr. Jimmy, the best frickin' year this year. The guests were crazy good. Awesome. We broke so many stories on this goddamn podcast. Some jackass on Instagram, he wrote on one of the GFL pages, actually, he wrote, we don't need stupid GFL and we don't need your stupid podcast. and I wrote, well, idiot, you're on the GFL page commenting on my comment.
Exactly.
So, you're what kind of moron are you?
Thanks for boosting the algorithm.
Yeah. But here's the thing, though. Look, man, we broke so many stories on this podcast, Dr. Jimmy. The MMA pension, okay? Sage Northcutt being cut by ONE FC and then being found. Like, we were breaking that story. Kelsey DeSantis getting screwed over by PFL when she fought Clarissa Shields. All the drama and the shit that they pulled on her. That was crazy. Daniel James, the American Predator, saying all the stuff about how they may have faked his drug test and that they pulled him from the season, and that was kind of bullshit. Sabah Homasi, the sleek sheik, how Bellator wasn't paying him his medical bills for the stuff that they owed him, and that PFL still hasn't paid him. Congrats to that dude, because he just went to BKFC and got a fantastic win to start off his BKFC career. So I'm very proud of him. All the stories that we broke that nobody is covering. Dr. Jimmy, things like this, like, we're the ones saying this guy should be like exiled. Like, what kind of author writes an article saying UFC matchmakers insult fans, former champion with garbage Mitchell versus Gracie pay-per-view booking, which turned out to be probably one of the fights of the year, if not fight of the night on that card. The way that MMA media is treating people. We covered the settlement. We covered the lawsuit, Dr. Jimmy. I had on a fighter who was a big part of that what do you call it? Class action lawsuit. The
antitrust.
The antitrust class action lawsuit. We had on a fighter who was a big part of that, who then 2 days later, that's when the settlement was reached on that thing. So, like, we were covering these stories that people aren't covering, man. The media sucks. they're always doing their own crappy, stupid, like try to gotcha moments, right? But we're pulling out real stories, man. So I'm so happy with all the guests we've had, like the friendships we've made, the people that we've met. I'm so happy for the whole thing, man. And I want to end this podcast all the time, Dr. Jimmy, but I just keep getting cool guests.
You know, like when I still remember the very first podcast that you did, and how, you know, how proud I am of you for what you're doing, and how you're giving a voice to a lot of athletes that people might have never heard of or ever seen before. And this is such a great platform for these individuals that want to share their trade. I think what you're doing is amazing, and I'm really glad for the growth and the progress that you've made and all of the connections that you've made doing this. So please keep it up. The athletes need it. Yeah, man.
And you know, and no better thing than Fight League Atlantic, man. I do want to give a shout out to those guys. I love Fight League Atlantic so much. Dr. Jimmy, I hope you come out to one of the cards one time.
I would love to come out.
Get out there, dude. It's so nice. The next card, guys, Fight League Atlantic out on February 1st out at the Moncton Coliseum. That's like, you know, Fight League Atlantic is there 2 or 3 times a year. That's like one of their home bases, right? It's a beautiful venue out there, man. And the fighters are incredible. The card already for FLA 18, go to fightleagueatlantic.com to get your tickets. Come out there, man. Fly out there. It's only like a couple $100 to get out there. Stay one night.
We'll do another road trip. We drove out to PEI last year, or this past summer. We're gonna do an East Coast trip for the for Fight League Atlantic, my friend.
Yeah. Dude, I'm telling you, do it, man. Really, really cool. But, you know, Fight League Atlantic has been incredible. I'll be out there on February 1st as well. And, yeah, man, like, I just want to say thank you to everybody. Dr. Jimmy, next week, what am I doing here? Next week, I think I'm narrowing down the time right now, but I think, as far as I know, I've got the Menace, Denise Zamboanga from 1FC. She's fighting for the atomweight title on January 10th. We're going to have her just a few days prior to that bout. Very, very excited. Awesome. I had her on the podcast, Dr. Jimmy, 4 years ago. At the time, she was one of my, you know, most watched episodes. And at that time, we did say to her that we want her to get a Fight in Sight tattoo.
Awesome. Yeah.
4 years later, I'm calling in that thing now. I need her to get the Fight in Sight tattoo. Hopefully she's going to be on the podcast next week. And then either next week or the week after, we've got a returning guest in Big Sam. He's an influencer boxer. He's fighting again. He's fighting Cake Paul, not Jake Paul.
Cake Paul.
But the heavyweight Cake Paul, nice. Big Sam is fighting him, and so he's going to be coming on the podcast. And of course, I'm going to get some Fight League Atlantic fighters that are going to be fighting on the FLA 18 card. I'm going to have some of those great dudes out here. Yeah, man. Dr. Jimmy, on a scale of 1 to 10, my friend, how are you? How are you feeling on a scale of 1 to 10?
I got to say 10. You know, I'm blessed. I've got my family. I've got my home. I got my work. I've got my friend Timmy B, who brings me on his podcast. You know, it's been a great year. And, you know, just looking forward to, you know, what the future brings. So definitely a 10. And how about you, Timmy? 1 to 10. How are we doing?
No, people always ask me that, dude. I'm like a 6, 7.
I
don't know. I'm a 6 or a 7, man. And I feel sometimes I don't really explain it right. So let me take 1 second here. I feel like the world is going to shit. I feel like there's so much going wrong in the world that, like, people need to figure this stuff out, right? Also, when I travel, Dr. Jimmy, when I go out to the East Coast, when I go to Italy, when I go to Portugal, when I go to Spain, people are living a much better life than we are here in Canada, even though we are the 51st state of the United States soon to be. But people live a much better life, man. They live a slower life. They live a less materialistic life. You know what I mean? Dude, I bought this Street Fighter machine. Do you know how many times I've played it?
I don't know, but I gotta play that thing, man. That's pretty epic.
Dude,
that's really
less than one hand, like less than 5 times I've ever played. I just buy it because it's materialism. That's my, you know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know, man. I have a beautiful wife. I have my 2 cute cats. Like, I'm happy, but I just feel like life could be so much better. I need to find a way to do that. And I just feel that the world is really messed up right now, man. Like, it's friggin' messed up. And I hope that things get better. But yeah, I mean, I'm not miserable by any means, you know, but don't send help.
You see potential. You see the potential for a better future. I think
I see the potential for improvement. You know, I'm also getting fat as hell, dude. I need to work out.
Like, we're not in the lockdown anymore, man. You got no more excuses.
I got lots of excuses. All right. That is it. Look, man, I'm very excited. look, to all the guests that have been on this podcast, so God bless you all, man. Like, it has been an incredible friggin' season of the Fight Insight podcast, and it looks like I'm not stopping, God damn it. So we will keep going. Here's news. New co-host will be Brian Bam Bam Barberena.
That's amazing.
UFC veteran, one of the coolest dudes, man, one of the best fighters. He is going to be the co-host for the foreseeable future, I think. You know, that's kind of the plan right now. So I'm very excited for that. I'm going to need to become a lot more manly. Grow a beard. I don't know. I got to do something because that dude is like, too manly. So I got to figure it out. And but yeah, I'm very excited to keep going with this stupid thing. And we'll see what happens, man.
Awesome, Jimmy.
So that's it, Dr. Jimmy. Thank you so much, man, for spending the time. I appreciate it, my friend.
Love it.
Guys, we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.